just give us a little background to this conference. Of course, you're an entrepreneur yourself, so you understand the pains, the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur. Why is it time now to launch a formal summit?
The reason for the summit is actually to bring entrepreneurs together to have conversations around things that actually are pertinent to entrepreneurs. Largely, it's about scaling businesses upwards. We all know that Africa is the next economic frontier, and for that reason, we need to continue to engage with each other and ultimately also create what we would call African indigenous companies and also international companies that can actually scale with the opportunity for growth in Africa.
Are the challenges of being an entrepreneur or a small business owner in East Africa the same kind of challenges that an entrepreneur perhaps in South Africa would face and perhaps in a more developed economy like Europe? Or are they very specific to the local environment?
I think largely our entrepreneurs have exactly pretty much similar experiences, all relating to funding, others relating to capacity building and also management competences and capability for good leadership. And in particular for Africa, I'd say, and particularly Kenya, there are areas of governance, being able to have in place capacity to amortize the revenues by making sure that you're delivering a good service to your customers. So to be able to deliver a good service to your customers, you need to have competent skills within customer services, marketing, human resources, and so on. And I think a lot of the SMEs or a lot of the entrepreneurs gradually develop that as they grow bigger. But whilst your startup, there are very many challenges. You find that an entrepreneur is actually having to multitask and do a lot more work than they ultimately would do because of capacity in terms of funding.
And of course, put the right structures in place to manage the growth going forward. You talk about funding. Is there funding there for SMEs? Are there enough private equity investors perhaps looking for the startups, venture capitalists providing the assets and the capital needed, and perhaps banks, are they coming to the fore?
I think we have an influx of VCs in our country, in Kenya in particular, but I think what is happening is that everybody who's coming into the market to look for opportunities is also coming in with an opportunity to fund, and the price in terms of the cost of funding is way too expensive for the size of businesses that are actually available for great opportunity for growth. So I think there is a mismatch between the cost of funding and the growth capacity for an SME that actually then needs the funding. So somehow, somewhere along the way, we need to find VCs or local VCs, if not angel investors, who are looking to actually seriously look more at the long haul as opposed to the short haul when it comes to investing in this SMEs.
Is that kind of time horizon different when you're talking about Africa and talking about East Africa in terms of that return on investment? Because traditionally, it sits at around 5 years for a private equity investor.
Yes, and I think that would really be the thing, is that yes, you do have a horizon of a 5-year capacity to create capacity for the ROI, but then we have VCs charging up to 24% in interest rates, which is really rather ridiculous. It's a very expensive way of funding a small business, and I think that's where the challenge is. If we can have more companies and more VCs coming into the marketplace, or more funders coming into the marketplace with better rates, you might find that there will be a better opportunity for return on ROI within the 5-year period.
What type of emphasis do you place on ensuring that entrepreneurs understand their relative competitiveness, as perhaps looking at how competitive they are on a global scale or perhaps on a broader region scale, as opposed to just assessing, how well they do from a day-to-day or month-to-month basis?
The reason why we're particularly having the Ignite Summit on scaling your business upwards is because I think there's a huge opportunity for understanding capabilities on how to scale, and also having a real discussion about the opportunity for creating capacity within organizations, those particular SMEs, to actually scale upwards. So when we look at the East African community as an opportunity, or when you look at the opportunity for growing within Africa, there is a need to build competency, if you like, or create capacity for training, so that scaling is actually an opportunity as opposed to a hindrance. And as we have those discussions, and we are looking at opportunities to address the critical areas of success, so that the knowledge pool is enhanced and people have a good understanding of how to scale. Don't forget that a lot of the small, medium-sized companies are actually also family-owned companies that really need to think about their own capacity for succession planning, as well as consider capacity for governance structures that really enable enable them to invite additional other investors within the businesses and companies.
Njeri, thank you so much for joining us. Njeri Rionge joining us from our Nairobi studios on the upcoming summit taking place in Nairobi titled Scaling Your Business Upwards.